Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to I've messed me in, so welcome back to the Racist Driving League Season 19, Round 2 of the Championship. Welcome to the Chinese Grand Prix here from the Shanghai International Circuit. I'm your host, Zach RC, here to bring you by myself this week. Unfortunately, we're missing Red J for the next few races to my mind for now. But I'll be here as always to bring you through all the action of what should be an exciting second round of the Championship. Of course, last week's opener was a very enjoyable Grand Prix as a whole. Grumio took the win last time out in his first race, returning for Williams for the first time since, I believe, since back in season 16 was the last time he drove for the Williams team. So, of course, good start to the season for those guys. But Haas, of course, leads Constructors World Championship with Che and Dan, those two finishing in second place and third place last time. Dan second, Che in third. So as the first few cars head up then for qualifying. Of course, as it was last week, this race could be anyone's game in reality. It could be a very enjoyable Grand Prix. Hopefully it will be a very enjoyable Grand Prix. Of course, Che won this race last season, so a victory previously for him in Shanghai. Of course, qualifying here, always exciting. Think back to several occasions here. Season 14 was hugely exciting. Season 17 was a fantastic qualifying. Obviously ended with PJ taking that famous pole position now nearing a calendar year of this stage since that memorable afternoon in quali. Hopefully should be a very enjoyable race for you. Imre, the first car on the circuit, so we'll keep an eye on him as he heads out for his first flying lap here. And we'll see what he's got in his locker. 16 corners, of course, one of the more exciting circuits on the calendar. And should hopefully be a very enjoyable first lap to watch here. So here comes Imre at the last corner, running on board now as he crosses the line to begin his first lap, going down towards turn 1, long run towards the sort of four-corner complex that opens the lap in Shanghai. So long swing right-hander into turn 1, turn 2 starts about here more or less when the angle of the corner changes. Down the hill towards turn 3, their first left-hander. Of course, a slight straight here for the run towards turn 4. Technically 4 separate corners, but obviously feels like just the one. And going down towards turn number 5 now. Sorry, through turn 5 into turn 6. Big look up from Imre here. Imre is running no ABS tonight, so he's on 0 assists for this Grand Prix. So perhaps tonight could be a slightly off-pace Grand Prix this occasion for Imre. Makes his way through turn 7 now into turn 8. Of course, slightly more sweeping second sector here. Into the braking zone, turn 9. Obviously, car easier on wide there. Track limits waiting for you on corner exit. Holding 4th going through turns 9 and 10 there. In towards the end of the second sector now. 52.0 on the board. Into and around turns 11 and 12 now, and through 13 and onto the back straight. DRS in play here, one of the main overtaking opportunities here. 2 DRS zones on the circuit, one going down towards turn 1 and one into the hairpin at turn 14. Here he comes now, charging up towards the end of his first lap now into the braking zone once again. Big lock up there. I think you'll see a fair few of those tonight from the Red Bull driver. Of course, P6 and P7 in the World Championship, but of course P7 and P8 for both the 2 Red Bull cars last time out. Of course, Pope scored points. Pope was a reserve last week. Imre, though, towards the line, 1:32.5, fastest time on the board so far. And his teammate Matthew's on his way through towards turn 14 now. Matthew himself also on a time lap. And we'll see here what he's got. So Matthew into the last corner on the circuit to complete his first flying lap. Matthew 1:33.1 as one of the Saubers comes through behind. That'll be HB Cook starting his first lap. Of course, Cook didn't manage to score in last week's race. Obsessed Gamer on the grid, I believe he wasn't here last week. We had Ericsson in his place to memory. Also, Cop 5 and Cotley Goblin, both of them in the race today. Neither one of them in the race last week. Ben there going through turn 6, keeping the car under control. Of course, RB, one of the 3 teams to not score last week, along with Williams and Kick Sauber and Alpine. Of course, 2 teams who are fighting for that coveted 5th place in the constructors last season. Of course, Sauber won out on that occasion with PJ and Ethan behind the wheel. Those 2 got 2 points between them. Those 2 points coming courtesy of Ethan last week in Australia. But of course, Ethan not with us this week. This week, Ericsson is in the Aston reserve. And yellow flag down at turn 14. I believe that is one of the... sorry, that's Imrie is slow. So Imrie calling into his first run here. So makes his way into the pit lane. And keeping himself within that pit limit, going into the pits to complete his first run. Fastest so far. Aussie course second Grand Prix in RDL. Of course, he's managed to score points in debut. Sixth place finish. Last time out, of course, was classified in 5th as Pope was a reserve. But a fantastic debut from the new Mercedes driver, and looking perhaps for a bit more tonight. Into the pits for now, it's P3, 133.7 for his first time. EJ P4, HV Cook P5, Ben P6, Ericsson P7. So some of the heavy hitters yet to emerge in the pit lane. But Dan is on the circuit now. He's making his way down towards turn 13 now. Down towards 14. DRS and a bit of battery in play there. Overtake was been deployed, hot lap for him down the back straight towards 14 now. And into the last corner through turn 16 now. And to complete his first time, we won't top Imrie. It's a 132.7. It's close, but it's not enough. Remember, Dan took pole position and in a very, very exciting qualifying. Sorry, no, was it? I'm listening to memory as to who it was last week on pole. But a fantastic effort from a number of drivers towards the end of Q3. So look forward to seeing what pace looks like this time round. Cott there, of course, didn't compete last week, but here for the first time in the Alpines alongside Websy. Websy, of course, did compete and made Q3, but... Oh, apologies for that. Apologies, so continue on then. Apologies for the brief interruption. I had to quickly just settings to hopefully ensure that connection is a bit better for us from here. So Cott, in case you missed, Cott went second fastest there, 1:32.6. And Che's crossed the line, P4 for Che. It's a 1 minute 32.8. So the top 4 quite close right now early on in this qualifying session. So I've got 13 cars having set time so far. Of course, we'll lose the bottom 5 at the end of Q1 in just under 9 minutes time. Of course, like I said, a number of drivers who perhaps are normally heavy hitters in qualifying in particular. Of course, we yet to see Lando set time. Grimio's on his way through here. He's just started his first flying lap. Of course, victory last time out for the reigning champion in Australia, and looking to go back to back if he can. He makes his way through turns 3 and 4. Keep an eye here on the champion. Lando starting his first lap too. Both McLarens on the circuit. McLaren sitting there 4th place in the constructors, 13 points between them, 12 for Lando, and of course 18 had the last point on offer in last week's race. So obviously not a lot to go off then. Not a large sample size, the one Grand Prix. So we'll get a bit more of a glimpse of a slightly different circuit compared to Australia. As Grimio enters, or rather comes to the end of the second sector, entering the third. As Dan retires, so calling into his Q1. 1:32.7 to be enough to see him through. As Grimio goes 51.9. That's the fastest sector so far, to mind. I'm going in through towards the DRS zone once again. Of course, was one of the contenders up front in the bid for pole late on in qualifying last week. Plenty of action to play around in these last few corners, so we go use it full blast towards the line here. Used orders to deploy for the lap, but goes fastest there, 1:32.3, so 2 tenths up on Imrie. Good start for Grimio then, a first lap And Landlord P3, 132.6 for Landlord. Where is AT? AT's coming towards the line now, 53.1 in his second sector. His last sector puts him into P10, so 1 minute 33.803. I think you want an 8:33. Sorry, you want a 1:33 minimum here to advance into Q2 most likely. So almost everyone set a lap time here, just missing Courtney Goblin. And right now it's JB, Ben, Ericsson, Alvar joining in the bottom 5 as Matthew retires as well. Those two now down to P5 and P7 as Cott's gone. Cott is fourth fastest. Grumio's still on top there, 132.3 for him. Imri just under 2 tenths back. It's just another half tenth back to Landlord in P3. Cott P4, Dan P5, Che in P6, Matthew P7, Websy P8, Aussie and AT are in your top 10. Then it's PJ, Obsessed, EJ, Curtis and HB Cook currently going through. And I say JB, Ben, Ericsson, Alvar and Courtney Goblin your bottom 5. In terms of a car on a flying lap, let's keep an eye on Curtis as he makes his way through. He was almost 3 tenths up in the first sector, looking for some real improvement as he goes through towards turns 9 and 10 here. Ferrari scored 4 points. He scored all 4 of them last week. And now he's 4 tenths up. So finding time here is Curtis, but invalidating there. So that'll call an end to his first run. Going over the curb at turn 11. JB on the circuit here. About 6 tenths down as of right now on a time to get himself into Q2. Majority of cars in the pits here, just waiting for the next proper runs. Alvar, slowest time so far in the 1:35.4 as it stands. Obviously down to P9. He comes through for what will be his second lap of the session here. Can he improve on his first effort? He can, only justified by 6 thousandths there going through towards turn 6. Just 4 cars on the racetrack here. EJ's one of them. Was one of the drivers who I think struggled during that first race in Australia. Looking to try and bounce back and get himself his first points this week. Of course, still reeling from a number of obviously new drivers we saw over the course of last season. EJ was one of them. We saw HB Cook coming as a reserve. Matthew was here as a reserve one stage. Of course, EJ was there at the same time. And Aussie now doing a remarkable job too. Of course, HB Cook, last week's race is his first as a full-time driver, of course, reserved on a number of occasions over the course of the second half of season 18. But last week, of course, Aussie's first start. Perhaps he'll be aiming for the same as that of young Kimi Antonelli, who of course podiumed yesterday in the Canadian Grand Prix in real life. It'll be interesting to see how the Mercedes pair fare around the Shanghai circuit. Courtney Goblin's out on his lap now. On that lap, rather. Just under 3 minutes to go. Slow cast, one of the RBs there. That's Ben. Waiting number of cars to go through here. EJ improving a little bit here going into the last sector on the circuit. Last corner now through turn 16. He's safe in Q2 as of right now, but of course that could change, so it's good thing he's improving here. 133.6, which puts him ahead of a huge gaggle of cars there, puts him P9 for now. HB Cook is the last car currently going through. JB's improving by 4 tenths out of sector 2, so potentially we could see JB move on with a good enough last sector here. But of course, you want to sort of solidify your place if you're sort of hovering around or in the bottom 5 as JB is. He comes to the last corner here to complete his next lap. up towards the line. It'd be a P11 for him, 133.6. Much more like it from JB, but of course could still go out if things don't work out for... If things do work out for the cars below him. Courtney Goblin then, towards the end of the first sector, 24.6 on the board for the Mercedes driver. Of course, competing in his first race of the season. JB retiring now, so thinks he's safe in P11. We'll have to wait and see in terms of results here. And we head towards the last few laps of this first session. Connie into the last sector now. Yellow flag as a stopped car, or rather there was a stopped car in the exit of turn 6, which I assume was JB's Williams, which is now cleared. We're into the last minute now of qualifying number 1. As Connie got a bit ambitious there with a toe off the Alpine in front of him going into turn 14, and that could have gone horribly wrong had he not reacted in the way that he did. Last corner now for Courtney. Oh, he's invalidated the last second there. It's a 134.6, so he'd be going out at this stage, I think, regardless, but wanted at least a valid time on the board. And with 20 seconds left, he's invalidated his second lap too. So that'll do it. Courtney dead last for the start of the Grand Prix. Now it comes down to who will join him in the bottom 5. HB Cook, as it stands right now, the first car out. Doesn't need much in terms of improvement, but Curtis may be improving too as he nears turn 16 here. Checker flag is up. Curtis' next car across the line. He's in P15 now. Can he get himself over the mark? Stays P15. The Sauber in behind him of Seth Gamer. P14, 133.896. Here comes his teammate, HB Cook. Might have enough to get himself into Q2. He does, and that'll knock Curtis out. Curtis, the second car eliminated from qualifying here. Ben, P17, he won't go through. Ericsson is less than a 10th lap and slowing here. Ericsson out as well. And Courtney Goblin also in the bottom 5. So there it is. Curtis, Ben, Ericsson, Alvar and Courtney will not advance to Q2. Everyone else will. Obsessed with the last car through. AT looking to improve himself if he can. Lalo in P3. 3.7 seconds down, but of course no concern as he is safe in Q2 by a long way. Webbsy up by 2 tenths, could put himself up into P9 in front of EJ as he rounds turn 14. Going wide there, Webbsy in the last corner, but it's through regardless, so no concern for him. Of course, the Mercedes going through as well. Of Courtney to complete his qualifying lap. AT, I think, will be the last car to come through and cap off the first round of qualifying. Grumio fastest then, and Grumio and Imri were the ones to catch in that first session. But of course, we saw Imri last week sweep both Q1 and Q2 and even qualified, or didn't, failed to qualify, I believe, in the top 5 to memory. Qualified P6 in the end. It's AT pits, and that'll do it then for Q1. An exciting start to affairs here in China. So 15 cars, then move on to Q2. We'll have more of an in-depth look at those in just a moment. And of course, we'll have a look at the 5 who are also out and are guaranteed to be starting in P16 to P20 on the grid. So Grumio fastest then in Q1 from Imri. Landlord third, then it's Cotton 4th. Dan rounds at your top 5. Chain 6th in the end. Aussie 7th. Matthew 8th. EJ 9th. And Webbsy rounds at your top 10. It's JB P11. PJ P12. It's HB Cook 18 Obsessed all going through. And losing out only just in the end of Curtis in the Ferrari. Ben in the RB. Ericsson in the Aston Martin. Alvar in the other RB. And the Mercedes of Courtney Goblins. That is Q1. And it's time now for Q2 to get underway. So 20 then sliced down to 15. And we'll see who's got the speed now to get themselves into Q3. Waiting for the first car to merge with Turkey, like one of the Red Bulls. And there they go, both of them on their way out there. So Matthew, though, of course, managed to beat Imrie in Australia. But those two had a stronger qualifying than they did a Grand Prix in Aussie last week. Because Imrie in particular got caught in traffic over the course of the pit stop sequence, along with Landau, but Landau managed to work through a bit more effectively. So we'll see here who's got the speed. Imrie out first, Matthew out as well. See Aussie on the circuit too, Landau joining them. 5 cars on the racetrack as HB Cook makes his exit from the pit lane. And we're just waiting now for Imrie to come through and start his first run. Second in Q1. Top 5 all came from different teams in the first qualifying session. So obviously it's, the field, I think, honestly gets closer and closer every single season, which is always good to see as Imrie locking up there. Said to me prior to the broadcast that he'd be okay with a points finish today, regardless of link of position, and given how he's been running offline with the ABS off. But we'll see how he does in his first lap of Q2, his second run proper here. But likely we'll see him on a set of worn soft tyres here, and bolting on a second set. We'll see a strategy game, seeing these guys trying to put on different tyres at different points in qualifying and seeing exactly what time they can gain by keeping their fresh ones to right to the end, especially for drivers who are looking to consistently make Q3 this season. We're on board then through turn 7. A car in front there. That may be AT. Perhaps could be an Imrie's way on the run down towards turn 14. Che starting his first lap. Of course, Che was the driver who took pole in last week's race. Imrie goes for the toe there. And I think very nearly pulled a Lando Norris in yesterday's Canadian Grand Prix, of course. The instant there, running into the back of his teammate. Hopefully we'll see nothing like that today from our 2 McLaren drivers, or anyone on the grid for that matter. But Imrie last few corners here, he set a 132 in his first qualifying run in Q1. Also got in the tank this time round. Last corner for him, up towards the line to 32.9. I think on the more worn set, or sorry, the less worn set of soft tyres from Q1. And we'll likely see him bolt in the second set shortly. Matthew goes second fastest, 133.4 on the board for him. Half a second off. Aussie in, 52.6 his second sector. Up towards the line now. What can he do compared to the 2 front runners? 133.1, so splits the 2 cars. You saw JB start his lap. Grumio is on his way around towards the end of sector number 2 now. Yellow flag, one of them says he's going to go inside, that'll be Aussie. Into turn 14 then for Grumio. Let's see what he stacks up compared to the rest of the field. Of course, top to Q1. And right now, Dan and Che are both pretty close. 132.926 for Dan, 132.969 for Che. For Grumio, it's a 1:32.608, so almost a full 3/10 up there on Imrie. And Grumio, again, for the second session in a row, is not messing around. The two Red Bulls make their way likely into the pit lane in formation here as Imrie locks up once again into 14. Yellow flag as Matthew backs off Imrie through the grass there. That could have been costly for both cars. They're both pitting here. So Dan in P3 then. That was down to third now. Che fourth. Aussie fifth. Cotton 6th, Landlord 7th, Matthew now in 8th, HSB 9th, and AT in 10th, JB P11 as of right now. I mean, again, you're going to need a 133 minimum to stand a chance here in Q2. Only 10 cars moving on to Q3. It's going to take a lot of effort here to get yourself in that top 10 as PJ goes P11, 134.3. And as of right now, I'm not looking like he'll be recreating that pole position from season 17 of this same circuit. Obsessed, EJ and Websy are the only cars yet to set a lap time. Websy on the circuit, though, looking to change that. So Websy then waiting for his first lap to come through. 12 cars, set time. Again, that top 4, save for Grumio, mightily close. It's about a tenth or two back to Aussie. Another attempt to Cot. Landlord a bit further back. Matthew close with him. In terms of gaps here. So Rumble of Websy. Let's see how he gets on with a full lap around Shanghai. You see him running all the way towards the right side of the racetrack, going towards turn 1. Moving the car out wide, keeping it well controlled for turns 2 and 3 now. Out turn 4. And completing his first second lap is a 24.2 for Websy. Into turn 6. Slightly off his line there. Through turn 7. We'll see what sort of speed he carries through here. Keeping the car on 7th. Saving a little bit of battery. About half a tank left. Of course, you want to have a fair bit of it left for the run down towards turn 14 at DRS zone. It's not uncommon to see guys perhaps going through their full deploy before the line. 52.2 for Websy in second sector. Down towards 14 now. And almost out of battery there. He's almost used his full deploy for the lap. Might have a bit left for the run towards the line. Last 2 corners. And we'll see what he's got. Has he got a time to get himself perhaps into towards Q3 maybe? 1:33.1. It's a good time from Websy. Puts him just in front of Aussie there and puts him crucially into the top 10. There's 6 minutes to go. So good lap then from Websy. Only a few cars on the circuit now. Obsessed and EJ both on laps here. Obsessed going through sector 3 now. So down towards turn 14. McLaren there weaving in front wing tyres. We're going to want to refrain from doing that while Obsessed is there. Matt AT had to back off here. Going towards turn turn 16. Should think so. Looks like he's going to run himself. EJP up to P11 here. Still about a tenth or two below the cut. And Obsessed towards the line. Puts himself P10. So puts himself above his teammate by a few tenths. AT with a bit of a skirmish there, off onto the grass. Perhaps not too confident with the run going through turns 1 and 2. So the story is as it was in Q1 more or less. Grumio fastest, Imri second, with the two Haas cars following them, and again quite close together. A quarter of a hundredth separating Imri from Dan right now. Imri lacking on his fresh set of soft tyres now. I see what he's got in the locker here. Into the last corner. Looking at the improvement here. It is an improvement. 132.2. So a lot more pace to be found on the fresher set. Obsessed with the pit lane here. P10 from right now. So only just going into Q3. Of course, subject to change. 3.5 minutes to go. Plenty of time for anyone to put a lap in and get themselves into that top 10 shootout for the second pole of the season. Grumio looking at the favourite here. He's taken pole in the past. He won a close-knit battle for pole position back in season 14. Matthew goes P9 there. Or rather stays P9, sorry. Going for his first lap on this set of tyres. But Williams out wide there. That'll be either Grumio or JB. It'll be Grumio. As JB's coming through. He'll be starting his first lap on this set of tyres as well. Everyone on their fresh ones now. And looking for the run that gets them into that top 10. Imri backing off. Letting the McLaren go. Landlord 7/10 up. That put him up towards the top 3 as it stands right now. Should he continue on this same pace? Yellow flag. Again, it's one of the cars slow out of 6 towards 7. Dan retiring as Landlord looks up there. Che retiring too. So the two Haas boys satisfied with performance in Q2. Looking to be set for Q3 now. Landlord P8, a bit of risk here. Will need a good lap to continue his run into the last 10 of qualifying. P2 for him there. So found some more time, 8/10 up. But we'll see where Grumio puts himself in a few minutes' time. He's got 2 minutes to set a lap, which should be plenty of time for him. Obsessed retiring too, which could be a bit more of a risk for him, given he's currently the last car of the top 10s. But so taking a fair bit of risk here is Obsessed, and might see him go out potentially. All 5 cars below or the racetrack now. JB looking for about 4 or 5 tenths here, about 8 tenths getting himself into Q3 rather, up towards the line. It's up to P9 from that. I'm not Obsessed out then. So Obsessed is the first car to be eliminated. PJ goes P11. Not enough just yet. I missed Cott going fast there. So Cott now in P1. 132.2. Remarkable lap there from the driver who again is sat there with Imri as one of the 2 drivers to go winless across F124, having won on F123. So things not looking as bleak for those 2, and pace-wise in this game so far. So we're near the last minute now of Q2. Grumio's P5 right now. Matthew's P3. Landlord will be looking for a higher spot potentially. Nope. 8 seconds down. The McLaren of AT coming behind him to start will be his last lap. Imri retiring here. A number of cars then all set for Q3 at this stage. The question is, who will join them? Can AT do anything? Grumio retiring now too. Half the top 10. Calling it quits. Obsessed in P12 now. Definitely out. As of right now, it's AT, EJ, HB Cook, and PJ Johnny in the bottom 5. Checkered flag has now fallen. Next car to the line is Ozzy, who's currently the last car going through as it stands, but backing off. So banking on PJ, perhaps not improving behind him, as he rounds the last few corners here. PJ pitting here, and that'll do it for him. So PJ out of qualifying. HP Cook last corner, where can he put himself? He improves to P11, so Aussie safe. HP Cook out. EJP 14. AT, it's down to him now. Can he knock the rookie out of Q2? And can he keep his hopes alive? Here comes Landlord for a good toe. The two McLaren teammates working together here on the run down towards turn 14. And that's what AT needs. And that could be the factor that puts him in front of Aussie going into the last few corners of the circuit. He needs to keep the lap valid to get himself into the last part of qualifying. He's the only car that can keep himself from getting knocked out. AT towards the line. Can he do it? He will do it. P8 for AT. And Aussie, unfortunately, gets knocked out then. JB, the last car through. Very, very tight end then to Q2. We have our top 10 set for the race for pole position. So Cott goes fast in Q2 then. A massive improvement for him. Imrie second, once again, this time only by 12 thousandths. Matthew third, Landlord in fourth. Groomy rounds at your top 5, 3.5 tenths for the top time. Dan sixth, Chase seventh, so the Haas cars down the order. AT, Websy, and JB getting through. JB only just sneaking in by about 300 over Aussie in P11. It's HP Cook P12, PJ P13, Obsessed P14, and EJ P15. Those 4 cars are all out. As the remaining 10 move on to Q3. So one more session to decide who gets pole for the Chinese Grand Prix, round 2 of season 19 in the Racers Driving League. If you're just joining us, welcome, and I hope you're looking forward to what should be an exciting race for pole position. Waiting our first entries to the racetrack then, one of the Red Bulls first out. Imrie once again. Second so far in both qualifying sessions. This time a lot closer in Q2 compared to Q1 over with Grumio. And can the 2-time RDL race winner Imrie try and seal his first pole of the season? Can Che go back to back? Of course, Haas haven't been quite as on it pace-wise. They've been there in the top 10 throughout, and it's most days in the top 5 towards late on in the session. But in terms of pace compared to the cars around them, the cars are meant to be beating for pole position. It's not been fantastic so far. I'm sure I'd like to see a bit more improvement in this last part of the session. So the next few cars leaving the pit lane here. Both Haas machines are out there. Landlord just joined the racetrack. AT on the circuit by the 2 Red Bulls. Websy, Cott, Grumio, and JB staying put for the minute. Scrap that. There goes Grumio. Websy coming out the pit lane himself. Apologies, that's Cott. Cott, of course, top to Q2. So here comes Imrie then. P2 in both Q1 and Q2 and looking for pole here. He kicks off his first flying lap. Of course, given the situation in terms of the lack of ABS for him this week. He's been doing a fantastic job. (24-1) in the first sector. Websy in behind. Matthew there going through the end of his sector 1. AT as well. And Lionel stopping there. Waiting for a scobbling JB and I believe that's Cott to go through. Yes, it is. As for Imrie though, near 51.7 in his second sector. As Lionel that's back all the way off there to allow everyone through. And towards 14, what's he got lined up for this first lap? We're likely looking at only about 2 laps for everyone in Q3. In terms of flying time lapse. Last corner for Imrie here, what has he got? The first provisional pole up of Q3, it's a 1:31.9. And here we go, this could be where things start to get interesting. The first 1:31 all night. Matthews through next, last corner for him, what's he got? It's a 1:32.5. Second fastest, where's AT? AT off the last corner, 53, second sector, 1:33.58. Landlord starting his first run. Where's the next car through? But Che and Dan on their way coming up next. Both of them on time laps. But Imrie then with a 1:31.9 has put down the marker. And he's throwing the gauntlet down to all challengers behind him. It's a big lock up there from Dan going into turn 14 here through 15 and towards 16. To complete that first lap of Q3. DRS in play now. Out towards the line for him. It's a 1:32.2. Second place for him for now. Where is Che? Che towards the line. Che goes P3. Only just. Slower than his teammate there. So Matthew down to P4, AT, P5. Next car through is Grumio, I believe. 51.9 for Grumio in sector 2. He's like 1:30, no, 1:31.2. No, 1:32.1. So Imrie then has the edge by a tenth or 2 here to kick things off. In terms of the main contenders, Cott towards the line, tops Q2, sorry. P2 from now, 1:32.090. So a bit closer to Imrie, bridging that gap a little bit, but not quite enough. JB's first Q3 appearance of the season, P8 for him, slowest time so far. Imrie from the pit lane there, Landor going through towards turn 16 now. Did he get off the top of his teammate there potentially? Have to wait. I'm not sure he did, but towards the line now, looking like a 1:31.942 7 thousandths for Landlord to Imrie, and things getting a lot closer here. The top 7 covered by about just over half a second or so. Top 6 covered by 3/10. Very tight indeed. Matthew there, P7, a bit back to him. It's another about half second to Websy, another half to AT, and another half there to JB. So those are your first laps. And we'll be able to see shortly over the next just under 6 minutes who'll be able to improve on their previous laps. We've seen it happen before, we've seen it done. It's easily done for a lot of these drivers, but we'll see who's got the bottle on them this time. So Landlord P2 then for now. Only just. Cop P3. Grumio P4. Dan and Che currently on the third row right now. Websy in P7. Matthew P7. Websy P8. ATP9. And JB, the last car in Q3. Slowest so far. 1:34.0 for him. And everyone pitting here, I think, this time round. Landon now and Websy also in. So empty racetrack for the minute. calm before the storm. And as things quieten down for a second, Dan emerging onto the racetrack here to begin more likely be his final run. Next car on the track there will be the McLaren AT. And it's anyone's guess now as to who takes pole, given how close it is. 7 cars with a 132 or better. Could we see Webbsy AT and JB perhaps play a role late on? But I think it's clear at this point that a certain hierarchy has been established. So I think for the first time in quite a while, I think, where it's just been 5 teams getting both their cars into Q3. Both Williams cars, Grumio and JB, both McLarens, Landlord and AT. Both Alpines, Webbsy and Cott, both Haas cars, Dan and Che, and of course both Red Bulls, a provisional upholstered to Imrie and Matthew. So an unusual sight, to say the least. It doesn't normally happen in RDL. We normally see a few sort of teams with just the one car in the session, as it was the top 5 in Q1 are all from different constructors. So just going to show you how competitive things are getting. This could be a very tight-knit season. I think the first part of the Grand Prix last week in Australia, I think sort of didn't put pay to Grumio having it all his own way. I'd say there's still every chance that it does happen, but as of right now, the prospects are that we should be in for a competitive season overall, and at the very least a very competitive race here tonight. Have a look at the gap here. Top 7 covered by 0.583 seconds. If Webbsy, AT and JB can get themselves into a solid window for a lap, then we could see that gap be ever smaller going into the race. Imrie looks like one of the fastest cars so far. And just over a minute to go, he starts his final lap. So here we go then. Everyone on the circuit. The 2 Haas cars. They're working together here. Oh, Dan! And Dan slid there. Got a toe off Chase towards turn 14. And missed it into the hairpin. I think it might be P5 for Dan at best here. He's used about half his battery and can't really focus on giving Che much of a toe now. He's got to get himself as high up as he can. It's 133.5 for Dan, which would have only been enough for I think P9 or P10 on the grid. Excuse me, rather P8 or P9. So last minute then, and a few cars still set to come through. Cott coming through to start his last lap. Landlord going down towards 14 now. Cott, one more lap to go. Imrie's up by a 10th in his first sector. We'll see what his second sector looks like. We saw the times drop like flies later on. Can we do it again? Imrie improving a little bit there, but still not by much. Locking up going into turn at number 11. How much did that cost him? Grumio, Landlord and Webbsy starting their last laps here. Webbsy had 10 seconds to spare. Everyone down the lap, and we're waiting to see who will take the second pole of the season. Checker flag about to go up. JB's first car round, 134.0 to improve on for JB. Can he do it? Get himself a bit higher on the starting grid to cap off his first Q3 start of the season. Over the line to 133.3, still P10, but a lot closer here. Imrie, last corner, 10.5 up, out of sector 2, last corner towards the line from now, 131.8. Lost a bit of time in that last sector. Matthew coming through P7 for now. How much can he improve by towards the line? 132.0, puts up into P3 there. Dan backing off, allowing Che to get a better run here. Of course, Che took pole last week. Can he do it again? Final corner for the first pole sitter of season 19, looking to increase his streak towards the line. 1:31.7 from Che, who goes fastest there. Next car to the line that Dan's pitting. P7 from a best hit. Can't improve him by a 10th.5 right now. Needs a bit more than that. 10th.5 out of sector 2. Has he got anything lined up for us in the last sector towards the line now? It's P3 for Cott. Couldn't take pole. Lalo improving, getting a toe from AT as well. Grumio up by a quarter of a second. Needs more than that to get himself onto pole. Next car through is Grumio. Last corner for him. Has he got a big improvement up towards the line now? He does improve, but not enough. 13 thousandths for him, and Landau goes to P3. And that will more or less cap us up, I think. Yes, it will. So the teamwork from Haas on show once again for one of the strongest lineups on the grid. And it's Che who takes his second straight pole of the season here in China. Grumio by 13 thousandths in second place. Landau third. Imrie fourth. Cott in fifth. Matthew sixth. Dan seventh. 88th, Websy 9th, and JB in 10th. Look at that gap there. Fantastic. The top 10 goes by a second and a half there. Top 7 goes by half a second. Fantastic to look at. We're going to take a short breather here, and we're back with you in a matter of minutes to start the Grand Prix. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Season 19, Round 2 of the Races Driving League for the Chinese Grand Prix. And if you just missed qualifying, I feel bad for you because that was a fantastic end to the session there. The top 7 covered by half a second, and we should be in for an absolute corker of a Grand Prix here in the Shanghai, at the Shanghai International Circuit. Have a look at the circuit before we get set up the formation lap. There it is, 16 corners for you. Che won last season's Grand Prix. It was the second win of the season, of course. Took his second straight pole of this campaign just a few minutes ago. And 28 laps coming our way in Shanghai tonight. And we'll look to see if anyone can catch Grumio after that first race victory in Australia. I'll have a rundown of the Drivers' Championship as well. Grumio leads the way on 25 points. Dan in second on 18. Che in third on 15. That's Landau fourth with 12. Aussie finished in P6, but got P5 points as Pope was a reserve in last week's race, so it doesn't count for points. Matthew P6, 8 points. Imrie 7th, P7, 6 points. Curtis 8th with 4 points. Ethan 9th with 2 points. And AT with the last point from Australia in P10. HB Cook, JB, EJ Websy, Alvar, PJ, Ben, Obsessed, Cotton, Cobney, yet to score this season after that first round, missing out. Of course, a few drivers who didn't make their starts in Australia, making their starts tonight in particular, Obsessed, Cott, and Cottony Goblin. Ericsson on the grid for the second week in a row as a reserve. And I think we are a few moments away from the formation lap now. And getting underway with what should be a fantastic Grand Prix. In terms of tyre strategy, of course, tyre wear bumped up for this game. And we'll have to see in terms of where strategies lie now for this race, whether it be a one-stop or a two-stop. Not too sure, of course. So a number of drivers who had to make the two-stop work in Australia. A number of cars made the one-stop work as a result as well. So we'll see what everyone's got in the way of time management on a circuit that can be devastating to the tyres. Look no further than the runs through the first 4 corners or so. Of course, that run through turns 12 and 13 as well. Locking up towards 14. We'll have a look now at the starting grid time for the formation lap to get underway here as the cars set off towards turn 1. Start from the back row there, it's Courtney Goblin from dead last, making his first start of the season. Alvar lines up P19. Of course, not a fantastic start to the season for RB. No points from the last time out in Australia. Ericsson, his second reserve race, lines up P18 for Aston Martin. He starts on the medium tyre for this one, as so does Ben from P17. Of course, crashed late on, but still classified as he crashed on the final lap. Curtis in P16 was caught up in that to memory. I could be wrong on that. I have to double check my notes on that. But lines up P16 for Ferrari. No Ferrari 8th row with EJ P15. Obsessed lines up P14. Hard tyres for the Sauber driver. His first start of the season, along with PJ Calvin P13. PJ unable to replicate his pole of season 17 of this circuit. Haseby Cook lines up P12, making his second start of the campaign. Of course, second start as a full-time RDL driver. In the same case then for Aussie in P11, coming up a point score in his first Grand Prix last week. 10 points on the board for Aussie as it stands right now. JB lines up in P10, his first Q3 appearance of the season, but couldn't get higher than 10th in the end. Webbsy lines up P9, looking for his first points after a struggle in Australia last time out. 18 P8, took the last point in Aussie. Looking to add some more to his tally. Dan P7, podium finish in Australia's second place for him last time out. 7 points behind the World Championship leader, Salvo Grumio. Matthew P6, of course, Red Bull did have a fantastic first Grand Prix. Looking to try and change that with Imrie in 4th place. Cotton P5, first start of the campaign for him too. Looking to get his campaign off to a winning start after going fastest in Q2 and nearly taking pole himself. Imrie had pole to start with for the last few runs. He lines up P4 on the hard tyres. Mediums for the top 3. Leonard starts in P3. It's Grumio P2 and Che in P1, as once again these two will go side by side with the runs towards the first corner. Of course, we had a red flag early on in the race in Australia, so looking to try and avoid the same thing here. But these two were trying to avoid coming to blows. It's the long-standing gentleman's rivalry between Che and Grumio. Grumio often coming out on top between those two, as Courtney Goblin is waiting. I believe Alvar's game has crashed, so he is going around as an AI for now. And Courtney Goblin behind him likely can't pass him on the formation lap. So let's wait for these two. As obviously everyone's tyres getting a lot cold here with Ericsson and Ben up on the grid. RB looking for some points to keep their campaign off. Ericsson missing his grid box. Obsessed missing his too. Alvar and Courtney then last two cars on the starting grid here, taking their spots. And we are all set then for the start. Here come the lights then for the Chinese Grand Prix, round 2 of the season. Time to bring the action. It is lights out, foot to the floor. Go, go, go. Racing here in Shanghai. Che with a good start. Jumps in front over Grumio. Landel takes P2 for the run towards the first corner. Outside line with a much better start there compared to the inside. Imrie in 4th place. Cotton P5. And close to contact there as they go through turns 2 and 3 for the first time in this race. But Che leads away from Landel 2nd and Grumio there in 3rd place. Through 4, Che in command then. And the top 2 pulling away a little bit here in the opening few corners. JB it's P8, Aussie to P9. It's a number of cars making early progress in the first few corners of this Grand Prix as Matthew and JB go side by side now for P7. Everyone keeping it nice and tidy in the back there. But Che in control, Landlord 2nd. And Grumio then, perhaps not a fantastic getaway compared to the cars on his left. The run towards that first corner. Imrie looking for 3rd place if he can get it. Off of the reigning champion. Cott there in P5. Solid start for the Alpine driver down in P6. JB up a few places. He's up 3 places on the start. It's been a good getaway for him here. Go down towards turn number 11 for the first time. Oh, car going wide in the back there. That's one of the Aston Martins. That's Ericsson who's going off. Keeps his car under control though. No damage done, don't think, to Aston Martin's end plate. He'll carry on as he is. But obviously down the order now. Oh, a bit of a scuffle going through turns 11 and 12 here. I saw an end plate go flying. It looks like whose it was, not quite sure. Let's keep an eye here as everyone makes their way down the back straight going towards turn 14 for the first time. A few cars looking to make attacks here going down towards the next corner. Imrie down to P5 here. Again, I saw something fly off a car in terms of what it was, in terms of who it was rather. And it's looking like PJ is the one who's lost an end plate, as has the Ferrari of EJ too. So Che leads the first lap then. And Curtis takes full advantage of his teammate struggling on corner exit going towards turn 1. Takes P14 away. Imrie dropped the place there to Cott going down towards turn 14, I believe. DRS in play this time round, so things are going to be more interesting for the guys up front. But Che, though, did what he needed to do on the race start. Kept things nice and controlled and leads early on. Medium tyres, cars in the top 4. Emery, the highest running car on hard tyres, down behind him in P6. JB's Charger stalled a bit here. He's about 6 tenths back from Dan. And everyone all single file, keeping it nice and tidy. Save for EJ and Ben going side by side towards turn 7. EJ not really showing Ben a lot of room there. Not showing a lot of racetrack. But EJ holds on to the position on this occasion. But obviously the damage, we've got to take that into account as well. He has to adjust a bit for his entry going into turn 7, which is obviously quite a fast corner as is. But DRS in play then, and this is where things start to get a bit more interesting for the cars up front. Everyone in the top 10 in DRS range. The first car that's not is Obsessed as it stands right now. He's in P12. And only just out of range. PJ behind about that second here. But again, without an end plate on that Aston Martin. Going down towards turn 14 now. Lando looking for his first move for the race lead. Going down towards the hairpin. Gets close but can't do it. Any attacks for the back. Everyone keeping as they are. Single file and run down towards 14. It's saved for Alvar and Ericsson. Goes side by side, perhaps even free wide there with Connie Goblin. Not to be. Che holds his lead. Lando following in his wake on the run towards turn 1. Start lap 3 of this thing. Emery fastest lap, 1:36.8 of course. No point for fastest lap on offer anymore. And unsure if I imagine Alvar's got himself back into the game here. I have to keep an eye out to see if he's rejoined. Whether I missed it, I'm not too sure. Che from Landlord then. And those guys pulling away a little bit here. It's about 6 tenths back to Grumio, who's still keeping himself in touching distance of the 2 race leaders. That's keep his eye out because Cott will be feisty, looking for some points here to kick his campaign off in his first race of the season. As was the case with Carl behind him and Emery. Of course, these two are a major story over the course of F1 24. Went winless the entire game, as has been mentioned many times. But both of them have pace to do it, but haven't been able to close out the job. Of course, both of them got pace today. Cott topped Q2. Emery was there, second place in both occasions. And only managed to qualify in the end down in P4. Which is still an improvement as qualifying in Australia, of course, was on provisional pole there and got knocked down the order too. So qualifying pace definitely there. These 3 cars a lot close together, 3rd through 5th. Top 12, top 13 got a bit of a pack here pulling away. As Lando might try and challenge the inside, going towards turn 14 now. And down the inside goes the 3-time series champion. Landlord on corner exit, side by side with Che. Che backing off. Will get himself DRS out of the last corner, but Landlord, the better exit, could help his case towards turn 1 onto lap 4 now. Landlord fastens up with DRS to boot. Going down towards the hairpin, but Che this time has it, and it's in front of the straight, too short for him to get a proper run to make a challenge for the lead back. Single file then, everyone sort of gap spacing out a little bit here, save for the top 9, are all close together here. Aussie a bit wide there going through turn 2. Matthew, he's trying to keep on the Red Bull's tail there. Che then in control. Apologies. Che was in control, Lando's at the lead now. So Lando in control. But Che in control of his race car and keeping himself in within a good range of Lando and maintaining his spot in second. Grumio falling back a bit here. He's down to 8 tenths back from his closest championship rival. Which technically would be Dan in terms of points, but Dan down the order here. As it stands right now, I believe Grumio is still maintaining his lead in the World Championship with a 3rd place finish. As Dane's obviously outscoring Dan, and Che is not far in front enough. If Che was to take the lead from here, then he could obviously tie Grumio there. Both cars being set at the 1st and the 3rd to start the season off. But as of right now, Grumio leading by 7 points. And down towards 14 again. This time, Che the upper hand and takes the race lead back. But Lando trying to switch back if he can. Can't quite do it on corner exit. But we'll have the run towards turn 1 most likely. We'll see what sort of exit he gets going down towards the first corner. Che fastens that down, 1:36.6. AT holding on to the last point by himself now, as was the case in Australia, as in no help from DRS, but Webbsy's on his tail, looking for that point himself. We'll have a look at here, position change early on this Grand Prix. The biggest gainer, there's actually been a number of them here, it's rather 2 biggest gainers that we're currently saying is Curtis and JB, but of course Curtis has that damage to think about, so I have to keep an eye on him over the course of the... Sorry, no, it's EJ's got the damage to think about. EJ down 2 spots from his starting position. And no one having to take an early trip to the pit lane here, which is always good. PJ and P14's lost a place. HB Cook has lost the most places with 3. Though he could get one of those back here and sort of bring that back up to someone else. If he can clear PJ here. And he can clear PJ. Who, as you saw with EJ earlier, has got to run a bit of a different line going into turn 7 to ensure he actually makes it through the corner effectively. Yellow flag. Oh, that's Ericsson. Off onto the grass there. Going through the exit of turn 7 through towards turn 8. Recovers the car. Unsure of any damage on Aston Martin. I think we're good for now. So it continues on. I shouldn't imagine he hit anything. Top 6 now pulling away. Bit more of an advantage here. JB 2 seconds back from Dan has got Matthew and Ozzy breathing down his neck. And Matthew makes the pass here. Can Ozzy try and do anything? Lock up there from Matthew. JB runs wide through turn 14. Ozzy takes full advantage. Draws alongside. The driver with the least starts in the league as of right now versus the driver with the most starts all time. JB right on corner exit. Ozzy gets through. Draws alongside. AT penalty there. First leading is Mercedes and Williams side by side for the run towards the first corner. Ozzy around the outside. JB backs out of it. It's outpaced for the run towards that first corner. And Ozzy into P8 now. 3 places gained. Curtis now up 4. He's made the pass on... this game is now passing AT as well. Curtis in the Ferrari on the move here. Wanting to add to those 4 points he scored in Australia. He's 1 place at the points as it stands right now. 3 wide going through... Or sort of 3 wide going through turn 4 there. He's obsessed. Poked his nose in this Alba. And looking to try and challenge AT if he can. Webbsy there in P10 holding on to the last points paying spot. JB down to P9 now. Matthew and Ozzy both making passes. Dan at the trail end of this train. So 5 constructed in the top 6. 5 in the top 5 there. Dan obviously sitting there in P6 together with the top 5. Red Bull, Alpine, Williams, McLaren, Haas. I think possibly the clear 5 fastest teams as it stands right now. Chain control, plenty of battery to use here. Could use overtake to keep himself in front if he needs to, but Landlord has got other ideas here. Closing in, not quite close enough for a move unless he tries to send it into 14, which he might do, you know. Not going to go for it, stays in line, thinks better of it. Keeping his champion's wits about him there as he makes his way through. Of course, this will be, at the end of the campaign, this will be 7 seasons since Landlord's last title, which coincidentally came the last time Grumio and Landlord weren't teammates. He's closing there, got a fantastic run through the centre of the racetrack as Dan and Imrie go side by side there. Imrie gets the edge on this occasion. Dan falls away to P6 once again. Ozzy's got Matthew in his tail. JB sticking with these guys, but not going for a move just yet. Webbsy P10 still. And Curtis having cleared AT, but not quite pulling away. AT with that penalty to think about now. And so the bottom 5, the struggles continue there for those guys. EJ, Ben, Cotney, Alvar, and Ericsson. All in the back. RB struggling in particular then. Of course, after previously contending last season. The reigning Constructors Champions RB. Of course, that line being Grumio and Landlord. So a change for that team this season, amongst other teams. Sliding a bit there, going through turn 12. In terms of how quickly those rear tyres fall off, tyre management and keeping the tyres up to temperature is crucial on this game. As Landlord goes for it again. And clears Che without too much fuss. Coming a bit of a slide there, bit of a slight lock up going through turn 14. And the top 3 look to jump back away a little bit here. Cotton P4. It's Matthew and Ozzy side by side behind them. Keep an eye on those guys. Grumio closing on Che now. Making his move to the outside. Going towards turn 1 as Ozzy and Matthew go side by side behind them. Into the first corner. Che holds on. And Ozzy trying for a second move. Can't do it. Matthew holds on then to 7th place for the minute. And there goes JB on the inside of Ozzy now. Looking for it. As Ben pits. Lock up from Ozzy, but maintains his place only just. Lost 1 spot. Doesn't want to lose 2. So Landlord pulling away a bit here now. Almost out of DRS range completely from Shea, but a big lockup there going into turn 11. Purple second sector for him, but Shea will still be in DRS range, only just, and will not allow Landlord to completely break away. They're sliding there through turn number 13. That could open things up. He could be prey to Grumio here, go down towards 14 now. Contact to them. Grumio running into the back of Shea. Losing momentum. And Grumio trying again here down towards 14. Both cars get DRS for the run towards turn 1 in a few moments' time here. But Grumio looking for it on corner exit. Can he do it? Side by side, the two main type of protagonists here going down towards turn 16. Chase at the inside, keeps himself in front, but Grumio comes with the faster exit, backing off there and takes full advantage on corner exit. Grumio goes sliding through and takes P2 back. So Grumio now in second place for the first time proper today on lap 9. But Landlord then has not been able to pull away as of just yet. 18 in the pit lane. First stop of the day for the McLaren team. Hard tyres going on. Aussie's there. Got Matthew Ryder's tail. P7 for the rookie as it stands. AT re-emerging onto the circuit then. Shea wanting P2 back more than anything here. Landlord right now it's like P3 now and P1. Let's run on board here with Shea and see if he can get himself up a place, perhaps even up 2, going down towards turn 14. Let's run on board. So now let's make that move for now, unfortunately, Shea. And Grumio not close enough to Landlord to go for a full move for the lead on his former teammate. Behind them, though, Cop pitting for the first time today. Wide there, going towards the pit. For a second, I thought he was going to run into the barriers, but keeps it out, keeps him away. And I'd like to see a set of hard tyres go onto the Cop machine here. There are your tyres as it stands. AT and Benham made their first stops at this Grand Prix. Cop the third car in. We're nearing that pit window now. And we're away. So Cott then fresh set of hard tyres. Going to try likely go to the end on those. So another car pitting there. It's Ericsson coming in. Back up front here. Still Landlord from Grumio. And Dan Nimri falling away a little bit here from the 3 leaders. Aussie still defending from Matthew and JB. Curtis in P9 for now. Webbsy on that last spot in the points. The 2 Sowers in P11, P12. PJ P13. It's still that end plate missing on the car. Able to take a slightly more comfortable line there through turn 7. You saw him and EJ running slightly wider off their lines in order to try and take the corner. But things seem to have mellowed out for them despite the damage. Bit wide there. Out of turn 10 for the Aston Martin. Yes, EJ still with that damaged end plate. Cott re-emerges sort of in traffic a little bit here. He's got 1 car in front of him and 2 cars behind to focus on. And may not get DRS. PJ. Yellow flag in front. Oh, that's a car around. That's Matthew's gone around. Recovers the car and gets him to going again. No damage done to that Red Bull. Except for maybe Pride. But Matthew down to P10. A few more cars coming in here. PJ and HB Cook both stopping. Likely to go onto the alternate tyre. And PJ obviously to repair that front wing. We'll see if he repairs it here. Wing change being made. Hard tyres going on. Cook hard tyres for HB Cook. He's away. PJ away as well. Both cars back on the circuit then. Grumio now half second clear of Landlord and taking the lead. Che in P3, Dan P4, Emery P5. Che's fallen away from these top two a bit more. And this looks like a battle of old here between these two great drivers. Grumio trying to break the toe. Can't do it for now. Landlords is still there in range. Into turn 14. Grumio slightly wide off his line there. Landlord may gain a bit of time, but he slides a bit on corner exit as well. Both drivers staying out for now. Will Che pit? Che coming in. Leaves Imri and Dan by themselves then as Landlord closes the gap to Grumio. Imri trying to close to Dan, can't do anything for now. Because Aussie now by himself and will be P5. JB pitting too, as is Obsessed. So of course moving through that pit window now, and everyone looking for their next set of tyres, likely to go to the end on. So we've seen the hard tyre rides go for a bit longer, and Grumio and Landlord will see go for a little while longer than anyone else on the medium tyres. We might see Alvar do the same. Of course, we've seen him go for long stretches on all the sets of tyres before. And obviously trying to recover from his game crashing on the formation lap. So Landlord still chasing Grumio then. 2.3 seconds back to Dan. Imri is trying to challenge but can't get himself close enough yet. And nearing the halfway point of this race. Daniel, everyone seems to have calmed things down and kept to themselves at this point in the race. Landlord right on Grumio's tail there as they make their way through 14. And again, Landlord for the second lap in a row sliding there out to 14 into 15. Struggling here. As he changed his mind at the last second there, looking for the pits. And that was very nearly a DNF for Landlord there. He narrowly avoided the barriers waiting from the inside of the runoff. But likely, yep, changed onto hard tyres now for Landlord. He's away. Aussie and Kurz take their place on the racetrack. Websy P6 here. Websy again, looking at the lower point that stands right now. But perhaps a struggle compared to form on previous games. Grumio obviously now 3 seconds clear of Dan in second, Imri now third. And again, these two continue to side that out for position. Che now stuck behind Cott, who of course did pit a few laps ago. And Landlord behind both those two cars. Perhaps stuck behind a few more cars than he might have liked to be. But of course we saw him in Australia take out, well not take out, but rather get around the slower cars last week. But of course these two on pace with Landlord, I'd say. At least so far in this race. Matthew there in P7 was yet to stop, but that spin has cost him massively. Of course lost the car going through turns 14 and 15. As a result down to P7 and being caught by cars that were in the lead pack before even making his first pit stop here. But Grumio, the gap closing a bit as Grumio, perhaps his medium tyre starting to fall off here. Dan is now 2.7 behind. But Imri still 4 or 5 tenths back in P3. Of course, the hard tyre runs continue on for a bit here. Only 2 cars left on medium tyres this stage. But in terms of cars yet to make stops in this Grand Prix, still got half the field yet to pit. Che fastest lap. He's clearly got pace as Matthew now giving him DRS for that first corner. But Che wants to clear Matthew as soon as he can. But preferably before Cott and Landlord go to get involved. Trying the outside there with Matthew, but of course Che getting around there nice and easy, and now Cott trying the inside going towards turn 7. And Landlord only just fighting his way around him there. Very close. Alvar pitted now. It's just a one car left on medium tyres. It's halfway stage and it's Grumio. He's built his lead back up to 3.2 seconds now. Matthew, 3-second penalty there for multiple warnings. Second car to receive a penalty along with AT. Both of them got 3 seconds each. Imrie passing Dan here, going down through turn 14 to Imrie now, the car in second place. And Dan calling it quits on his first stint pitting here. Oh, and again, another car going way too close there for comfort with the barriers. At this point, I'm almost expecting someone to go ploughing into one of them. I'm hoping they don't. But Dan, they're taking a very, very, very exciting trip there off towards the pit barriers there. But he's away. Medium tyres going on. Second car onto mediums now. As there goes Jan making his challenge on Cox the inside at turn 1. Side by side between the McLaren and the Alpine with Che behind them watching his mirrors. And Landlord takes P7. A nice clean pass there going through turns 3 and 4. Che now Landlord and Cott now catching Websy and Curtis. There goes Landlord trying the inside on Che now going into turn 6. Landlord just won't quit. Corner exit. Che maintains his advantage for the minute, but Landlord is still there right behind him and looking for opportunities to try and pass. Grumio 3.8 in front now. Imrie by himself as Dan made his stop. Dan emerged in P10 in the end. Medium tyres on for him for the second half of this race. And we'll see how much longer Grumio lasts here. Cause I doubt he's looking for a change to a soft tyre later on. But likely Imrie will be on the faster tyre for the second stint. So in terms of this pit stop now, it's crucial that Grumio tries to maintain an advantage. Both cars coming in now at the halfway stage. Or just past the halfway stage rather. Both have done 15 laps on their tyres. Wazzy joined them as well. Curtis is there as well. P4. Landlord and Che behind these guys duking out for P5 still. Che holding on for a minute. We'll get DRS off Curtis, who's in his way there off of turn 14. Landlord could get an exit trying to get around both these cars here. Closing towards turn 1. Landlord to the right hand side of the racetrack. Could be a double whammy going towards this first corner. It is a double whammy. Landlord makes the move. Takes the race lead away. Sliding through turn 1. Che on the inside now. Side by side. Dead even. The two new race leaders going through turn 2. And that was very, very intense. It's still going here, these two, as Grumio and Imrie emerge in P6 and Imrie in P9. But Landlord now in front of Che. And this is for the race lead, no less. Cott passing Curtis, who has played almost a perfect roadblock in that fight for the race lead and given us a right good bit of carnage. As Landlord now needs Che once again. These two back in front. Cott now in a true third place. Curtis and Websy yet to stop. We'll go a bit longer on those tyres. Grumio followed by Dan and Imrie. Imrie falling back a bit here. And once again, these two find themselves further down the order than they might have liked. These two Red Bulls. And off pace compared to the cars in front of them. Imrie on fresh mediums. Compared to everyone else is going to be fresh hards. He's got the youngest tyres. One of the youngest sets of tyres in the pack, the youngest in that lead pack, and the faster tyre too. So you run out faster, so you can't use too much of it trying to close up to these top 3. Obviously you need to navigate Grumio and Dan too, who are in the middle of navigating Curtis. Down the inside there go both cars and the Ferrari. That's the fight another day. Imrie closing that gap bit by bit here as Websy comes to the pits then, so just Curtis left on the racetrack and separating Imrie from the top 5. As the train continues on here, lap 17, Dan fastest lap, 1:35.6 for him. Imrie 2.5 seconds back from the Ferrari, who himself was the second back from Dan in P5. And Matthew for a second stop here. Medium tyres going on. An odd change. Sorry, apologies. That was Matthew's first stop of the race. Sorry, I thought he stopped again. Regardless, though, it's still Landlord leading. Then the 3-car train. Grumio now 4th, trying to join that train on his fresh hard tyres. Dan with his fresh mediums is still in the fight. And Imrie now in DRS range of Curtis, having to use his tyres, I think, the most here in order to try and close up to the guys in front. He's 2.5 seconds off of Dan as it stands right now. Almost 3 seconds to make that out of turn 10. Making his move to the inside now. And not holding, waiting for DRS. He's going for it now. No time to lose here. It's 11 laps to go and they cross the line. And Lanlord again leads on corner exit out of turn 13. How much can Che close here? Both cars got plenty of battery. Cott hasn't got much to his name, but still with a shout. So he, Grumio and Dan got some harvesting to do. Imri's especially got some harvesting to do. As Lanlord holds his lead into turn 14. So the back everyone single file to themselves right now. Aussie for the back taking P10 away from HB Cook as Grumio fastest lap there. And so Curtis into the pit lane there. So likely to fall out the points playing places here. But has to try and fight his way back on them, what I assume being the medium tyres. And got a 10-second penalty there for speeding in the pits. So the chances for Curtis to make the points here looking slightly more unlikely here. I don't think the Ferrari will be adding to their total from Australia. Imri is 2.6 seconds out from Dan, who himself is 1.3 back from Grumio. He's falling away. Those medium tyres not doing a lot of good right now. So Dan needs to close that gap back in. Monty joins the trainer, make it more difficult for Imri to get close. And Lanlord in the McLaren, looking for victory number 1 of the season. Che and Cott in pursuit. Grumio P4 there. Dan still in DRS range only just. Imri now 2 seconds behind. How much is he using those medium tyres? As they go down towards 14 again. Che closing. Will he try and go for it? Lanlord? Nope. Keeps it in line. Locks up a little bit. Cott and Grumio in tow. And Dan may fall out of DRS range here before they reach turn 16. He's good for the minute. Oh, just hit DRS there. That's slightly poor entry by comparison to the cars around him. Lap 19 now, into the last 10 laps proper of this Chinese Grand Prix. And it's anyone's game here. Of course, a late safety car throw everyone into chaos here. Perhaps looking at sets of soft tyres for the finish, should they be necessary. But we're looking like definitely a one-stop here. Grumio X has moved to the outside for turn 6. Clears Cott without too much effort. Imri now 1.8 seconds back. Like that 2.1 going wide there out of turn 6. And through 7 got the leaders. Lanlord still in control. It's been Lanlord and Che all day here. Grumio's had a cameo in the lead, more or less, on a different tyre strategy, but which has almost worked out for him. He's put himself on the freshest tyres in terms of the hard tyre runners in this lead pack. Imri now within 2 seconds once again behind them. Keep an eye on him. Charging up from the back. This little train, so a second and a half behind now, 1.4 back. No DRS for him just yet, which won't help his case as Dan tries to challenge Cott on corner exit. And those two falling away now from the top 3 as Grumio might try and challenge both cars here, going down towards turn 14. Che looking for a move for the lead, but Lanlord holding on to his lead. And Che breezing past. And can Grumio try and get his old teammate? Can't do it for now, but Che back in the lead now. And Dan around Cott there for P4 too. Imri's still struggling there to try and keep up with these guys, but closing in, getting into DRS range bit by bit. He hasn't got long though, 9 laps to go. Lanlord trying the outside for a second there. Che covers him off, positions his car beautifully for the first right-hander. Grumio there trying the inside on his old teammate for second place. Going through turn 1, always tried at turn 2, but backed out of it. Couldn't make that move stick. Yellow flag down at turn 14. It's been off for Ericsson, who has recovered it once again. No real issue for him. Ben pitting here. It's put down to last of the running cars. Connie Godwin trying to challenge Alvar. They're going towards turn 1. And he's sort of keeping to themselves in terms of this race. As AT tries to make it 3 wide. AT's been down the order. He's had a torrid day today, by comparison to his usual standards in the points. Back up front though, still Landlord and Che. And Imri now in DRS range of Cott. It's now a 6-car fight then. But Cott with no DRS. So Imri's got a bit more work still on the medium tyres. Close stuff back in. Easy move there. As Landlord reclaims the lead. There goes Grumio. They're making both passes there. On the outside going through. And Che looking at 3 wide. Going towards 16. This can't work. Surely not. Grumio gets in front of both of them here. Contact between Che and Landlord on corner exit. Landlord slides there. But saves the car. And Che looking for the race lead back. To the outside now of Grumio. And looking for P1. And Che reclaims the lead. That was a close tussle. As Cott gets a penalty for speeding in the pit lane there. For one more set of tyres. Ben penalty as well. 5 cars now have penalties to their names. Medium tyres for Cott then. As JB will now take P6 away. Aussie now P7s. These two do a fantastic job here. JB, a huge upturn from the last race in Australia. Looking for his first 8 points of the campaign here. If he can keep Aussie at bay. Aussie in those medium tyres. And Cott, of course, will be charging up too, but has 10 seconds to his name himself. Obsessed P9, HB P10. Those looking for their first points of the campaign for Sauber. And it's looking as it sounds like 2 of the 3 teams who didn't score in Australia may score here. Imri on Dan's tail here. So it's a top 5 shootout for the win here. 7 laps to go across the line again. Anyone's guess who's going to win this thing. But these are arguably the 5 fastest guys in the league. And all of them wanting the shot to win. As Grumio makes the pass on Che. They're going to go down towards 14 again. Lock-ups on both cars there. Landlord looking for any sort of scrap he can get on corner exit. Dan still in front of Imri, who's been chasing that Haas since he got back on the circuit. But those 2 medium tyres can't come making much of an impact as they might have liked it in this DRS train. Che a bit wider on his line. They're going through turn 1, switching back to the inside for 2. Trying to get a bit more, any sort of scraps of time he can get as HB Cook makes the pass. Obsessed going side by side through turn 14, the 2 Saubers, as Websy scraps behind them. See Websy darting around looking for some kind of opening here. Made the pit to medium tyres just 4 laps ago. Make that 5 as they cross the line. Now the car can make a move here. So HB Cook goes on to P9. Obsessed looking for his first point of the season in his first race as Websy tries the inside. There's every chance that both cars can have points here, but given that Cott has a 10-second penalty. Curtis behind them, Matthew EAT, they've got all the penalties, so those guys, no concern. These 3 could all end up with points here. Left Cott builds a lead over them. Cott currently 4.6 in front of HB Cook. So all 3 of them should be good for points. Aussie now passing JB. And back up front here, Grumio pulling the gap out now. Getting to work 1.2 seconds here for Grumio. And Che out of DRS range here. And might that be the shot that perhaps knocks everyone else out of contention to win this thing and gives Grumio the 2nd win of the season. We're 6 laps and finding out. This could still be a shootout. But Grumio doing every job possible to deny us from quality last lap racing entertainment, as he so often does. Looking for career win 117 in the RDL as Landlord makes the pass on Che for 2nd place. And again, Dan and Imri on those medium tyres. The tyres are good, but they just can't get involved as Dan trying for a 2nd on Che. But the top 4, as they were last week, it's in a different order. Cott fastest lap there, 1:35.2. He's managed to pass. JB is passing Aussie as we speak now around the outside. Beautiful run there from Cott. And will need to get himself as far away as he can as Obsessed gets a penalty there. Late stop for Obsessed. And now Landlord pulling away in front as well. Soft tyres for Obsessed, soft tyres for Ericsson. And the pack splitting up now. Che a 10th or 2 more of Landlord. It's going to be tight here as to whether he got it. It switched to 1.042, the gap from Landlord to Che. Has he got it? If he doesn't, he might have missed out and might fall prey to Dan and Imri behind. He has missed out. And Land not getting any either. And this could be the race here. Damn, look at run this teammate. Has got to fight him carefully. They both know Imri's back there, looking for a podium place. But Grumio here, 5 laps from victory. Dan passing Che here. Has he got anything for the 2 leaders? Got a bit more clean air in front of him on those medium tyres. It's going to be very close to yellow flag, and that's one of the RBs. As Alvaro's gone around. Turn the car and waiting for his teammate to go through. Che keeping down as the 2 teammates might try and scrap for P3 here. Grumio and Lambo both putting 1.6 seconds out on the car behind them respectively. There's just 4 laps left, 4.5 to go when they cross the line. Down towards 14 again. Dan breaking the toe slightly here, but Che only getting close enough to really go for it as of yet. Imri still there in P5, still sat there waiting for his chance. Che can try and challenge this time. Avoids hitting his teammate. That's the key thing going through turn 14. Imri's down his tail. Wide there through turn 16. And with 4 laps remaining, Imri will need to pass both Haas machines to get him onto the podium here. Caught in P6. In terms of the gap now for Cott, it looks as though Websy is fighting to get himself into another place here, get himself up to P8. But Cott is pulling away from that gap now. Curtis overall is getting the most spots today. Of course, he's got that 10-second penalty to think about. So may not score points overall, but still 6 places up from his starting spot. Of course, a Q1 elimination for Curtis, certainly just. And he's turning into a spot that would have been the top 10 and would have been a points-paying finish. If not for that 10-second penalty, which I think he's still got. Yes, he does. 3 cars then who are caught out by the pit entry. Obsessed, Curtis and Cott over the course of the Grand Prix. Grumio now 2.5 seconds in front. Che has nothing for his teammate here, just simply backing him up. And ensuring that Imri does not find a way around both cars. Grumio in control here, 3 laps to go. It's been a tough battle in between these 5 cars in particular. Grumio ruling the roost as it stands, pulling out almost 3 seconds here. He's really just put his head down and focus on building that lead. He's almost 3 seconds to good, which could be confirmed here when he comes through. There it is. Biggest margin he's had for the race lead all day. It's to my mind. Cott now is just 16 seconds back from Imri in P5. Won't catch him, I shouldn't think. Aussie by himself in P7 here. JB on course for points. Of course, a much better week this time round than in Australia. Struggled in qualifying in Australia and of course didn't score points. So to get himself into Q3 and put some points on the board for the first time this season to help his teammate in the fight for the constructors, it's very helpful indeed. 15 and 12 points going Haas's way. It's 27 points for their campaign. 25 and 4 going Williams' way, so Williams actually gaining a few points here. But I think we'll still be sitting behind Haas in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull may still be third here. Matthew down to P11. He's had a rough day. That spin did not help his case at all. Yellow flag for the back. That is EJ going slowly. All clear though. 2 laps to go then for Grumio. I think just waiting for him to seal this one now. Curtis rejoining here. P9 from right now. Webbsy on his tail. Good enough exit and try and make the move down towards turn 1. Contact there. Ericsson, 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's down to P20 right now, so no effect for him. Webb's making his move, darting to the inside there. And both cars making it through unscathed as Webbs takes P9. Imrie still threatening Che, but to no avail here. He's caught the train, but has just been sat there biding his time. Perhaps waiting to the last lap to go for it. And he's got a lot of battery though compared to the cars around him. Grumio is in complete control of this thing. He's a lap and a half from victory here. Alvar pitting once again. That's another tough race for RB. Of course, the team who formerly drove this McLaren last season, or rather the 2024 McLaren, as Grumio starts the bell lap here. 1 more lap to go in China, and as it was in the last Grand Prix, after competing with the cars around him in this last phase of the Grand Prix, he's come alive, put the afterburners on, and is pulling away for win number 2 in F125. Close to putting Alvar a lap behind here on this last lap. I'm sure Alvar wouldn't mind get the race over by a lap if that works out for him. Curtis and Webbsy still going at it. Out to turn 14 here. Webbsy edging in front. Good enough corner to keep himself ahead here. Down towards turn 1. Good exit from Curtis. Might not score points, but wants a points paying place. Into turn 1. There goes Curtis up to P9 again. Webbsy fighting him, but can't do anything as of yet. We'll keep an eye on those guys later on. Does Che have anything left for the 2 Haas cars here? And have they got anything left for him? Is there any last twist in the tail here at all in the race for the last podium place? Che looking happy to try and just back his teammate up into that 3rd place spot. Unless he goes for it in the last lap. But Grumio then is in control. Down towards the hairpin for the last time he comes. Out of battery completely here. Che closing for one last try. His teammate looking for 3rd place there. He'll take 3rd place at the last. In front as Grumio rounds turn 16 here for his 2nd win of the season and career win 117. Grumio triumphs in China. He wins round 2 of the season. Landlaw through in 2nd place. 18 points for the McLaren driver, and Che then snags P3 over Dan at the end. Imrie P5, so an improvement for Red Bull after their slightly more disastrous Grand Prix in Australia. Cott has 10 seconds of penalty here. He may lose a spot or 2. He may lose just the 1 spot to Aussie in the end. Aussie coming through here for what may be a 2nd straight points finish. It was 5th place last week. This week it is 6th place for Aussie. Cott P7 then. Curtis will come to the line in P8. We'll see where he finishes once his 10 seconds is applied. JB in behind him. JB P8, Webbsy P9, and HB Cook will nab the last point on offer over Matthew. Curtis P12 then. It'll be PJ in P13 in the end. AT will be finishing P14. P15 goes to Obsessed for now. We'll see what that looks like when he crosses the line. Cottony and EJ nose to tail in the last 2 corners here. I think that both cars should get in front of Obsessed. And they do. Obsessed P17 then. Ben P18 in the end. Tough day for RB all round. Ericsson in P19. And Alvar dead last then after tough day. 2 stops made for a number of cars towards the end. Perhaps couldn't make the tyres last. But the 1 stop prevailed for the majority of cars here. Only Cott managed to get the 2 stops at the end in a points paying place, even with that 10-second penalty. So Alvar across the line then, but Grumio's your winner for the second time this week. Sorry, this season, apologies. 2 weeks, 2 victories to start things off for him. And again, the gauntlet has been thrown down for anyone who's trying to stop him. Other drivers have got pace here, but unable to stop Grumio from finishing the job. Victory then in the end for the reigning Drivers' Champion as he seeks title number 10 this season. Landlord in second, and Che takes home third then. But a very exciting Grand Prix regardless, has to be said. And the celebration begins for Williams then as they'll close their gap a little bit in the Constructors. So exciting times all around. 3 different Constructors on the podium once again. A close fight between several different teams there. There is your stats. Grumio wins the race. Fastest lap goes to Cott. Ozzy gets in-game driver of the day. Webster gets most overtakes. Imrie cleanest driver. Your final results then. Grumio wins it from Landlord in second. Che third. Dan in fourth. Imrie fifth. That's Ozzy, Cott, JB, Webster and HB Cook your top 10. Behind them, Matthew P11, Curtis P12, PJ P13, AT in 14th, Courtney Goblin 15th, EJ Obsessed, Ben, Ericsson and Alvar, the rest of the orders. Everyone sees the flag, everyone on the lead lap. And that will more or less do it for us race-wise for coverage here in China. And we will be with you shortly for post-race interviews. We still get a chat with anyone after that thrilling Grand Prix. Enjoyable stuff all around. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And we simply wait now to see who will be the first for us to arrive. But of course, congratulations to our podium finishers in particular. Those guys did an excellent job across the course of the race. And thanks as always to everyone for watching during this phenomenal Grand Prix. Of course, if you haven't already, make sure to get subscribed for more future RDL races as the season continues on further into F1 25, further into season 19. But a very fun race regardless. And we'll just wait now to see who's ready to join us. JB excited to score his first point of the season there. But a very enjoyable race all round. A lot of fun was had by all. And hopefully we get someone into chat. We'll get another minute or so, and if not, we'll just simply call it there. But no, overall, an exciting race. It was very, very enjoyable to watch. Of course, Grumio sort of taking any entertainment away towards the end. Unable to get any sort of late scrap, unfortunately. But that is RDL sometimes. And Grumio, of course, fantastic driver. Can't take anything away. It was a faultless drive in the second half of the Grand Prix overall. And a race winning you can be proud of. Okay, so I think we may just leave it there. Then that will do us in terms of RDL coverage of the evening. No post. Unfortunately, no one coming in to join us later on. We'll give it a moment and see if anyone does come on through. Oh, we have an arrival. Obsessed, welcome into the chat, mate. Obsessed, can you hear us? Obsessed, hello? You there? No, nothing. It would appear not. We've got JB joining as well. I think in a moment. Obsessed, you there, mate? Can you hear us?
Hello?
There we go. Gotcha. Loud and clear.
All right.
Well, I mean that was I think exciting race overall. A bit all over the shop for you guys at Sauber today. Of course, made the late stop. Was tyres a concern for you today out there? Was it difficult to keep those under control?
Coming into the race, I was very concerned about my tires. On the hards yesterday, I was getting like 5% a lap. So I was not sure how long they were going to last. Today, they lasted a lot longer than they did yesterday. But I was just locked into the strategy. So pitted lap 11 and then again on 22 for softs. And yeah, I think that given the right circumstances, that could have worked. I know on my first pit stop, I forgot to hold down the gas. So I spent an extra 5 seconds in the pits trying to figure out why I wasn't going. But live and learn.
Fair enough, mate. Overall, a solid race overall. But obviously, P15 at the flag, and obviously the 10-second penalty is that one we want to have back because that happened later on with the second stop as well.
Yeah, that happened coming into the pits for the second time. Thought I broke it early enough, but I guess not. But yeah, just unfortunate to have a 10 second and then come out into thick traffic.
Fair enough, Bug. But I think I'd say overall, you and HB Cook definitely working well over the course of the Grand Prix. At one stage, you were both in the points paying places. So I think, is there a chance we see some points in the next few races from you guys? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think HB definitely has the pace. I think today he said that he might have gotten a point. Um, so hopefully we can continue that trend across the next couple of races. And I do think we definitely worked well today. We both qualified. I think it was right one after another. Um, but yeah, I think that racing with him was definitely great.
Yeah, I can from yes. HB Cook did get a point at the end. He managed to get P10, I think overall. Obviously, pending the stewards report later in the week. But obviously, yeah. So solid Grand Prix for you guys as a whole, and hopefully try and bounce back in Japan next week. But we'll move on now to Curtis, who came home just outside of the points in the end in P12. Curtis, I got that right?
Yeah, I had a 10-second penalty as well.
That was it. Of course, I will ask because of course you spent the majority of that first stint with a broken end plate. So what happened on the first lap? Because I caught glimpses of it, but didn't catch the whole thing. So what happened from your end?
That is news to me. I don't
Wait,
think
no,
so.
no, sorry,
I didn't touch
I'm
anyone,
getting my
so
throws mixed up. That's on me. EJ got the. Do you know what? I did that once or twice over the course of the race.
no,
My
right.
stuff mixed. It's hot in here. I'm trying to
Yeah, there was
remember everything.
there were yeah, no worries. It's there was an accident going into turn 11, I believe it is, just for the long right hander onto the back straight, and I managed to avoid it, but I don't think PJ in front of me was so lucky, and also, like you said, I don't think EJ was so lucky either. So it's just one of those ones where you just caught up with someone else's accident.
Fair enough. But the first half of the race as a whole, I think I'd say prior to the pit lane penalty, you're making up places. At one point, you were six spots up from your starting spot from P16. So I mean, were we disappointed in terms of qualifying? Because obviously Q1 elimination there, perhaps not favourable for the start.
Yeah, I had a subpar banker and then made a mistake on my last run, and I think a bit overconfident. Tried to get through on one set of tires, and I was half second up going to the third sector, bit of oversteer, and then I'm 10th down going onto the back straight and just pushed too hard trying to make it up. So one to learn, just unfortunate, but I feel like with a better starting spot, I would have had a much better position today.
Are we satisfied with the race pace as a whole? Because obviously, you were flying for the majority of that race, so I think it's only the penalty that held you back in the end.
It was a nice surprise. China is definitely not one of my favorite tracks, so but it was a very nice surprise. I do think there was potential for maybe even a top five had I got lucky enough, maybe maybe sixth, seventh. But it's one of those things you live and you learn, and I won't make that mistake again, hopefully.
Hopefully so. And in terms of next week's race in Japan, what's the ambition there? Could there be points on the card, do you think?
I don't see why not. I mean, the first two races have proved that I'm definitely better in the race than I am qualifying. So, and Japan being a track to overtake, I might put a bit more work into qualifying over the course of the week on the run up to it, just so hopefully I can put myself in a much better position going to the race.
I'll have to wait and see if we can make good on that for the Grand Prix next week. So obviously, fair play for the pace. Obviously, shame the points that the results didn't go in perhaps the way we might have wanted. But we'll move on now, last of all, to JB, who got his first points of the season, 4 points for Williams in 8th place. JB, congratulations. Is this the turnaround you wanted from last week?
Yeah, definitely. Was a surprise to get into Q3 because the pace wasn't very good at all in practice, and particularly qualifying. I lowered the diff a bit, and that definitely helped. And then in Q2, Grumio gave me a tow and gave me a 10th or so, and I think that's what got me into the top 10. So that was good. And then the pace today was just really much better than last week, and no track limit penalties either. So very happy.
Obviously, I had a fair scrap with Ozzy and was it Matthew, or am I getting myself mixed up there? Over the course of the mid part of the Grand Prix.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
How was that? Because of course, two drivers who, of course, haven't been.
Yeah, they were. No, they were doing very well. They did come together though. Just before I had to pit, so I did get ahead of them. But they were on the hards, and that's why Ozzy at the end was quite a bit quicker than me, just because he had that softer compound. But it was very much, about keeping in the DRS today, because that long straight you gained, 3, 4, 5 tenths just by being in the DRS. So it was a good battle though, and those guys were racing really well. I don't know why or what happened coming out of the hairpin that made them come together. So probably one for the stewards, but otherwise it was good and clean.
I would ask you. So overall, from obviously owning the league perspective, and a large crop of sort of newer drivers who have performed fantastically. Is that something that we're pleased with over the course of the last few months?
Well, I think the fact that 20 people finished today is just goes to show what a great field we have here. I know there was a crash on lap 1, which took few drivers. Wings and flaws out, and that will be that. But otherwise, again, drivers like Ozzy who've just come in and he's 5th last week, P6 this week. It's really good to see, and the caliber of drivers is great.
And of course, looking ahead to Japan next week, is that going to be a track we struggle at perhaps, or is there another chance at a second points finish?
It's not my best track. I doubt I'll be in the top 10, but you never know. Today was, China is one of my better tracks, so coming into this I was hoping to do well, and then in practice I thought, oh, this isn't going so well, but Japan isn't a track I expect to do well at, so it's probably going to be even worse when practicing, but we'll see what happens, and never say never.
Fair enough. We'll hope for a pleasant surprise next week over the course of the Grand Prix. Well, thank you guys for all coming along to the post-race interviews, and that will more or less do us then for coverage of the Racers Driving League Season 19, Round 2, the Chinese Grand Prix. We're back with you guys next week on the 23rd of June for the Japanese Grand Prix from Suzuka. Make sure to join us for that. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more future audio content. Have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you guys next time.